They say you shouldn't go door to door anymore. That it's dangerous. That no one wants to hear about God from a stranger. But it's not like we were pushing anything. We were just two girls with brochures and bright smiles, spreading hope in a world that feels like it's crumbling. Besides, it was Emily's idea. And Emily always made things feel safe. Until today. We were on the last street of the day, a quiet stretch at the edge of town where the houses looked like they'd stopped caring years ago. Faded paint, peeling porches, lawns that hadn't seen a mower since before COVID. It was the kind of neighborhood people drive past without looking. But Emily, she had this instinct, this feeling that someone here needed us. We should try that one, she said, pointing to a gray house half hidden behind overgrown trees. It looked abandoned. No curtains, no cars, no movement. Even the mailbox was stuffed full, leaning open like a broken jaw. Looks empty, I muttered, shifting the strap of my bag. Then it won't hurt to try, she said, and she was already walking up the path. I followed. I always followed. We stepped onto the porch, the wood creaking beneath our sneakers. Emily raised her hand and knocked 3 times. Then we waited. Nothing. She turned to me, shrugged. Just as I started to suggest we move on, the door creaked open, slowly, like something in a movie. A man stood there. Tall. Pale. Barefoot. His eyes were glassy, like he hadn't slept in days. Or maybe he just didn't blink much. Yes? He asked, voice barely a whisper. Emily smiled, unfazed. Hi. Sorry to bother you, sir. We're from the Church of the Open Word, and we just wanted to share a message of, "You're welcome here," he interrupted. That stopped us both. I looked at Emily, waiting for her to react. But she just blinked, confused. I mean, we won't stay long, she said politely. We can just leave a pamphlet if, no. Come in, he said. The words weren't aggressive. They were calm. Too calm. Like he'd been waiting for us. Emily glanced at me again, and I shook my head slightly. But she stepped forward anyway. It's okay, she whispered, probably more to herself than to me. I should have pulled her back. Should have grabbed her arm and walked away. But I didn't. Instead, I followed her inside. The air changed the second we stepped through the door. It was cold. Not like the AC kind of cold, but basement cold. Damp, heavy. The kind that sticks to your bones. There were no lights on, just the faint glow from a hallway behind him. The man didn't introduce himself. He just shut the door, and the sound echoed like a gunshot. My wife is asleep upstairs, he said, walking ahead of us. But I'd be happy to talk. Emily and I stood in the narrow foyer, surrounded by dusty furniture and peeling wallpaper. Every instinct in my body screamed to leave. But Emily was already setting down her bag. So, have you ever considered the idea that we're all connected through a higher purpose? She began. I barely heard her. My eyes were scanning the room, at the faded family portrait over the fireplace. At the dark hallway. At the faint sound of something. Like metal dragging on wood. I took a step back. That's when I noticed the locks. Not on the outside of the front door. On the inside. Big, heavy bolts. 4 of them. Deadbolts. Chains. One of those twisty hotel locks. I turned to Emily, but she was too focused on the man, who now sat in an armchair, his hands steepled in front of his face. He was smiling. And I knew, right then, we had made a mistake. A big one. I don't know how long we sat there, Emily talking calmly about faith and salvation while I watched the man's eyes follow our every move. He didn't blink. Not once. Just sat there like he was watching something behind us. Like there was something only he could see. And even when people feel alone, Emily was saying, God sees them. Even in the dark. The man leaned forward suddenly. What if the dark is where he wants us? Emily faltered. Sorry? He smiled wider. What if the dark is holy? What if it's not punishment, but the reward? I finally spoke. We should get going. We have a few more houses to visit. He looked at me for the first time. And when he did, I felt hollow. Like his stare wasn't just looking at me, but through me. Don't be afraid, he said. Not yet. Emily laughed nervously. Okay, well, thank you for your time, sir. We'll just... He stood. Fast. No, he said, voice suddenly sharp. Stay. Emily froze. Her hands still held together in her lap like she was mid-prayer. I grabbed her wrist. We're leaving, I said, louder this time. Now. He didn't try to stop us. Just watched as I pulled her toward the door. But when I reached for the first lock, my stomach dropped. It wouldn't budge. The bolt was stuck, rusted in place like it hadn't been moved in years. I tried the second one, same thing. My fingers trembled. Something wrong? He asked behind us. I didn't turn around. The locks, they're jammed. You just need to know how to use them, he replied calmly. Let us out, I said. Still no footsteps behind us. Just his voice. You came here for truth. I'm offering it to you. Isn't that what your kind wants? I turned to face him and realized he was holding something. A wooden box. Old. Carved with strange symbols I didn't recognize. He set it on the floor between us and stepped back. If you want to leave, open the box. Emily's mouth dropped open. What is this? He looked at her like she was the only person in the room. A test. That's what you believe in, right? Trials. Faith through suffering. I didn't move. We don't want to play any games. He chuckled. It's not a game. Emily stepped forward. Don't, I whispered, grabbing her arm. She looked back at me. He's testing us. No, Emily. This isn't church. This is something else. But she was already on her knees, fingers brushing the box's lid. Careful, the man warned. Once it's open, you see what's inside. I took a step back. My legs were jelly. My heart was pounding so loud I thought he could hear it. Emily lifted the lid. Inside was a mirror. But not a normal mirror. It was cloudy, the glass rippling like water, and as we looked into it, I swear to God, I didn't see my own reflection. I saw something else. Something in me. Or maybe under me. Like a shadow I'd never noticed until it moved. Emily gasped. She dropped the box. The mirror didn't break. What is this? I demanded. What did you do to it? The man tilted his head, almost sympathetically. Everyone has a face they hide. The mirror just shows yours. I turned back to the door. This time I didn't care if I had to kick it down. But as I raised my foot, something moved down the hall. Not footsteps. Dragging. Like someone pulling a heavy sack. Emily screamed. I turned just in time to see the hallway darken completely, like the light got swallowed whole. The temperature dropped again. Then, silence. No man. No hallway. Just us. And the mirror. And the sound of something breathing on the other side of the wall. Emily was frozen, staring at the vanished hallway. The wall seemed to have sealed shut behind the man, as if the house had eaten him. "Did you see that?" she whispered. I couldn't answer, my throat dry, ears ringing. I stepped toward the wall, expecting my hand to pass through like smoke, but it was solid. Drywall, wallpaper, just like before. No door, no way out. The mirror box sat between us like a threat, it slid open, pulling something out of me. Emily stood, pale, saying, "This isn't real," thinking it was a hallucination. Maybe he drugged us. The tea. Remember? I nodded, grasping at logic. Yes, that's it. We just need to wait it out. He'll come back. We'll leave. We knew it wasn't true. There was no tea. He never offered us anything. I moved to the windows, tried to pry them open. Nailed shut. Every single one. Emily paced, rubbing her arms. He said his wife was asleep upstairs. I turned sharply. You think she's real? Emily shrugged, a glint in her eye. If someone else is here, maybe they can help. I hesitated. Upstairs didn't feel better, but it was the only idea we had. We moved quietly, footsteps barely creaking as we ascended the staircase. At the top, the air changed, heavier, like a sealed attic in summer. The hallway stretched longer than it should have, far too long for the house. 3 doors, all closed. I pointed to the first on the left. Emily nodded. We opened it. An empty room, dusty, no furniture. Just a child's drawing taped to the wall, stick figures, drawn in black crayon, frowning. Emily backed out. Try the next. The second room was colder. A crib sat in the center, rocking gently, though the air was still. No baby inside, just a looped recording of a baby crying. I stepped in slowly. The mobile above the crib spun without wind, made of tiny wooden crosses, each burned black at the tips. Why would he have this? I whispered. Emily didn't answer, staring at the corner of the room. There, half in shadow, stood a figure. Not moving, not breathing, just watching. It looked like a woman, head tilted unnaturally, hair over her face, arms too long, not blinking. Emily grabbed my hand. Don't move, she mouthed. I nodded. We backed out slowly. I shut the door with trembling fingers, and for a second, we stood in the hallway, trying to breathe. Then, thud. The sound came from behind the third door. Something slammed into it, rattling the handle. Emily whimpered. We shouldn't have come up here. No kidding, I hissed. But the handle was turning now. We ran, flew down the stairs, breath catching in our throats. At the bottom, the furniture was gone. Everything. No chairs, no fireplace, no portraits. Just blank walls, bare floor. Like the house had erased itself. And worst of all, the front door? Gone. Smooth drywall where it used to be. Emily dropped to her knees, pressing her hands against it, trying to will it back into existence. What is this place? And I realized, we hadn't entered a house. We'd stepped into something else entirely. Emily was crying now, not loud sobs, just those quiet, hopeless tears that come when you finally realize no one's coming to help. I sat beside her, too numb to cry. My mind was spinning, trying to piece it all together. But every corner of the house bent logic. Space didn't work right. Time was slippery. Even the air felt like it was pressing down on us now, as if the house itself was breathing. And then, the lights went out. Total darkness. Emily gasped, reaching for me in the black. I'm here, I whispered, grabbing her hand. I'm right here. Somewhere above us, something creaked. Footsteps, maybe. Slow and dragging. We held our breath. Then a voice. Not his voice. Hers. the woman from upstairs. But it wasn't words. Just a hum. Soft and low, like a lullaby played backward. I felt Emily tense beside me. "She's coming," she said. "No," I whispered. "We're not waiting around to be hunted." I remembered the mirror box. It was still there, even in the dark. I felt its shape on the floor. Cold. Too cold. I pulled it close. It hummed beneath my hands. Emily backed away. Don't open it again." She said the box was the test. He said the truth is inside. Maybe that's how we get out. Emily was shaking her head, tears catching in her throat. "It's not the way out, it's how they keep you here." But it was the only thing that hadn't vanished. The only thing that felt anchored. I opened it. The mirror inside rippled again, but this time it didn't show a shadow. It showed me. But not how I looked now. It showed me leaving Emily on the porch. It showed me backing away while she knocked on the door. It showed me walking away. Choosing to go back to the car. Then the reflection changed. Emily was inside. Alone. Screaming. And I was safe. Watching the house from the road. Calling 911. In that version of the world, I never followed her in. I looked away from the mirror. It's giving us a choice. Emily looked at me, confused. "What do you mean?" I met her eyes. "One of us can leave." "No, it's showing me another timeline. One where I don't come in." Emily stepped back, her voice cracking. "You think this is real?" "I don't know what's real. But I know if we stay here, we die. Then we leave together." The box shimmered. A new reflection. Both of us running. Both of us getting out. And then the glass shattered. Just like that. No more mirror. Only black. And a whisper, not in our ears, but inside our heads. "Only one leaves with memory." I blinked, and the house was gone. I was standing in the middle of the street. Bright daylight. Cars passing. People walking dogs. Normal. Boring. Real. I turned in a circle. No gray house. Just an empty lot. Then I saw Emily. Sitting on the curb. She looked up at me, smiling like nothing happened. "Where'd you go?" I stared at her. You don't remember?" She shook her head. "Did we finish the last street yet? My feet are killing me." I sat beside her, my mind reeling. They'd let us go. But only I remembered. That was the price. I looked down at my hands. In my palm was a shard of glass. From the mirror. Still warm. Still humming.